3 misunderstood economic truths. It is my view that most of the contemporary confusion about economics stem from just a small number of basic misconceptions. These root causes intermingle and intertwine to produce worldviews that are completely out of step with economic realities. We confuse money with real wealth, of which we believe there's only a finite amount. And since money is issued by governments, we believe it's the job of the governments to distribute that wealth equitably. It's not our fault. Without proper education on the subject, we've been left to the predation of politicians and lobbyists who promise to make the economy run better, to shape our understanding of modern markets. Classical economist Henry Hazlitt wrote that a little economics can easily lead to paradoxical and preposterous conclusions. Depth in economics brings men back to common sense. It is my aim in these 3 simple points to provide that depth. The points laid bare are these. There is not a fixed amount of wealth in the world. Money is not wealth, and governmental actions have consequences. There is not a fixed amount of wealth in the world. The belief that the amount of wealth in the world does not and cannot change is the root of a multitude of calamitous attitudes and policies. From the demonization of the rich to trade protectionism and tariffs, to the wholesale government redistribution of wealth. If wealth is fixed, then those who possess a great deal of it must necessarily have gained it at the expense of those who have less. If wealth is fixed, then a developing nation's trade policy must ensure that the wealth flows in only one direction. If wealth is fixed, then the only humane thing to do is to divide up the pie as equitably as possible, by force if necessary. But the amount of wealth in the world is not fixed. Wealth is not fixed because wealth is created. Imagine a deserted island with a population of just 1 human being. On this island, with only 1 inhabitant, there can be no currency and no trade. But can there be no wealth? If our lone survivor grows a crop, he has created wealth that did not exist before. His crop is wealth because it is valuable for human consumption. If the survivor designs a shovel to increase productivity of his farming, he has now created not only the wealth of the added crops that he is sure to produce, but also the wealth of the invented shovel itself. All of this wealth creation has occurred without the need for transferring wealth from any other human being. Wealth creation is not just a theoretical concept. Wealth is being created all the time. According to data compiled by the World Bank and other sources, back in the year 1820, 94% of the world's population was living in abject poverty or extreme poverty. By 2015, that amount was just 10%. If the quantity of wealth in the world was static, how could such an astronomical advance in human prosperity ever occur? The truth is, contrary to popular belief, that the entire world has been getting vastly more wealthy for the past 200 years. This is only possible in a world where new wealth is created and compounded over time. Money is not wealth. People who are able to see rationally how wealth can be created on a desert island nonetheless lose sight of this basic premise when they stop thinking about wealth and begin thinking in terms of money. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button, hit subscribe. Let's get back to the video. It is obvious how an island survivor can bring new wealth into existence. But what happens when a modern farmer sells his crop for money? Clearly, money has changed hands. The buyer loses just as much currency as the farmer gains. The buyer must consequently be just that much poorer, right? But to understand what has really taken place, we must look beyond transaction of money, because money is not wealth. The dollars, euros, pounds in your bank account are merely numerical representation of wealth. Money's purpose is to act as a symbolic stand-in for real wealth, which consists of commodities and services that can be produced and consumed. Wealth can take the form of food or computers, smartphone apps or education, healthcare or ceiling fans. Wealth can be a labor-saving invention like the cotton gin, or an entertainment commodity like a blockbuster film. Money is not wealth because money offers no value to human beings. Money does not extend lifespans, save time, or connect people. If money alone can raise the standard of living, then we would have printed near infinite amounts of it long ago. In reality, overprinting money has utterly ruined the standard of living in more than a dozen nations in recent history. The distinction between money and wealth is key to understanding the value of trade. While a buyer of crops has lost money, she has gained crops, which she would otherwise need to grow herself. This frees up her time to bring new categories of wealth into existence. Created wealth offers its buyer far more value than is obvious to an observer that is paying attention only to monetary transactions. To take a real-world example, Microsoft Corporation became one of the world's leading technology giants through the creation and sale of computer software. Money changed hands, and in the short term, the software buyer was slightly poorer. But with the more efficient software rolled out to their business units, those firms saved employee time, cutting costs and increasing long-term profits. Extending the chain of events one step further reveals that it is not only the buyer of the product that enjoys a productive benefit from the trade. With the additional profit from its software sales, Microsoft went on to expand its operations, allowing it to employ more than 100,000 workers worldwide and provide new opportunities for others to add to the productive output and wealth generation of the economy. Governmental actions have consequences. As long as there has been government, there has been no shortage of politicians promising to tweak, fix, or improve the economy. From Franklin D. Roosevelt, bold, persistent experimentation, to Donald Trump's trade wars are good. The reasons for government intervention in economy have always been wide and varied. Some believe that government spending will spur growth. Others that legislation should protect citizens from profiteering of private industry, and still others that taxes will promote economic equity. But like many prescription medication, governmental action is never without its side effects. In 1687, physicist Isaac Newton proposed 3 physical laws of motion. His third law stated that to every action there's always opposite and equal reaction. In a similar spirit, I propose a law of economics, that to every action there's always an opposite and equal reaction. No explanation of this law will serve better than simply presenting a list of governmental actions, economic reactions, and results. The action, the government institutes a minimum wage, intend to raise low-income workers' wages.
The Raise the Wage Act gives up to 33 million Americans a long overdue raise.
The reaction, some businesses cannot afford the higher cost of workers and lay off part of their workforce. Other businesses cope by passing on the added cost of production to the end customer through higher prices. The result, many of the workers that were intended to benefit from higher wages are now without work, while both they and the rest of the public must now pay higher prices for goods in the affected industries. The history of governmental actions and reactions can and will fill entire economic books. Efforts in the areas of taxation, job creation, healthcare, and more have all created damaging side effects all over the world. The consequence of misunderstanding these 3 economic truths are grave. The myth that wealth is finite portrays success as hoarding and theft as justice. The myth that government intervention can increase wealth, in fact, degrades wealth. It's the sleight of hand that lends legitimacy to all the rest. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, hit subscribe. I will see you next week. Be outstanding.